back, viewers of the YouTube. So thanks for joining me today, and we're going to talk about a brand new motorcycle relaunched after many years, and it's the BSA Goldstar. So BSA, or Birmingham Small Arms, is a company that was founded in 1861, originally involved in the manufacture of firearms, primarily for the British Army. And they began to manufacture motorcycles in 1910. Popularity then increased all the way up to the 1950s, when BSA was the most widely sold motorcycle, the biggest manufacturer of motorcycles worldwide. But unfortunately, when the competition from the Japanese manufacturers came in the 1970s, this saw the demise and the end of BSA as an entity and as a motorcycle manufacturer. So in 2016, the Mahindra Group purchased BSA and then began the development of a new motorcycle. So we've seen this quite a few times with the historical British marques, like MG, for example, were purchased by a Chinese company and have been reintroduced. Mini were bought by BMW. Royal Enfield were owned by an Indian corporation, and they've been very successfully resold back into the market. So we have seen evidence of British brands brought back, and very successfully in some cases. So in this particular case, they've relaunched the BSA Goldstar, which is one of their historical models. It was launched at Motorcycle Live 2021, and that was in December, so near the end of the year. So very, very new bike to be revealed. We're looking at an arrival in dealers of this bike in March 2022, so only about 8 to 10 weeks away. So let's talk a little bit about the bike itself. So the bike is a retro cruiser. It's a 652cc single cylinder machine, so it should provide that thumping soundtrack, a very characteristic of large singles. The bike is going to have a 320mm disc up front and a 255mm disc in the rear with Brembo calipers, so that will provide more than enough stopping power for the power output of the engine. And we're looking at about 45 bhp and 41 foot-pounds of torque. That's about 55 newton meters in the new metrics. So it'll compete more or less with the Royal Enfield Interceptor, not far off that. The bike itself weighs 213 kg, so it's a little bit on the heavy side. If you think the Meteor, which is a 350 single, less power, but that weighs 193 kg, so about 20 kg difference there. I'm not sure the weight of the Interceptor, but you can imagine performance being similar among the Interceptor and the new BSA Goldstar. The Goldstar needs servicing every 6,200 miles, which is probably a little bit less than Royal Enfield, so that's one advantage of the BSA Goldstar. The engine will return 70.6 miles per gallon, so again, great fuel economy. It's a smaller capacity as far as motorbikes go, but it's a single, so you've got that good fuel economy to come from that. 12-litre tank. And the forks, so going back to the suspension, are 41mm non-adjustable up front, but then you've got dual rear shocks, obviously with the retro theme. They are preload adjustable, so there's 5 settings at the rear. Some of the retro features of the bike, like you've got dual analog clocks up front, but with some modern touches like the LED front light, and you've got LCD inserts on the clocks and a USB charger on the handlebars. The seat height is 78 centimeters, 780mm. It's a large single seat, so quite typical of a British bike, and that will be suitable for a shorter rider. You can imagine that those on the shorter side might actually be able to get their feet down or even flat foot this bike, which is handy. So okay, that's the stats of the bike. I saw the bike at Motorcycle Live, had a sit on it. It feels really good. Overall, wire wheels look great. The colours are silver, red, black, the Heritage Special Edition as well, I think. But there's meant to be 5 colours in total. I only saw 3 of those, which were silver, red and black. Obviously it's a retro themed bike, single headlight up front. You've got that sort of pressed metal effect around the fuel tank that you see in Royal Enfield. Really good looking bike overall. A couple of things I didn't like. I didn't like the rivets that hold the front mudguards or fenders on. They look a bit cheap and kind of nasty. Also didn't quite like the look of the single exhaust heat shield. That again didn't look like a terribly quality item. Indicators look quite basic, but those are really nitpicking points. There's not that much that I could fault with the Goldstar. I think what will come down to with the Goldstar, and if it can compete with Royal Enfield, is if it can, one, if the engine characteristics are powerful and torquey, low down, but also buyers want a little bit of refinement. So if it's too vibey, that might put people off when we get to road test this bike. Also, it'll come down to price. So if you think in the Royal Enfield range where you've got direct competition for BSA, the Royal Enfield Meteor is about 4,000 depending on the variant you go for. That's a 350cc single, but it's a bit lighter. The power increase that the BSA has will be offset by the weight, which is lower in the Meteor. The most direct competition we can see is a very popular selling bike, which is the Interceptor 650 or the Int 650 in American markets. Now that bike is also a 650cc. And that is a parallel twin. So you're really going to have this competition between the BSA Goldstar and probably the Interceptor 650 for those buyers going for that type of retro motorcycle. Let's talk about the Interceptor price. That's about 6,000, 6,300, maybe 6,400, depending on what colour scheme you go for. If you go for one of the special editions or two-tone paints, then you pay a little bit more for the Interceptor. If BSA comes in significantly under that, say 5k, 5.5, it's going to be really interesting to see which bike outsells the other. So as I mentioned, that bike will be in dealers in March 2022, and I'm looking forward to see it. So we'll wrap up there for today, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you really enjoyed what we're talking about today, then give us a like, because that helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you like the channel and Bikes and Bits content in general, then please do consider subscribing. And that'll help us on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Okay, until that point, guys, we'll catch you in the next video, and thanks for listening.